There's so many of them around at the moment. Everywhere I go along the coast, people are saying I'm running in brown snakes.
Snake heaven.
We did have some at the beach and we filmed them on Bondi Rescue. So what do we do if we do see them in the household firstly?
If I were you, I would be isolating the snake in the room and then calling a snake catcher. They should have turned up at least with appropriate protective clothing. Obviously it's scary if you get one in the house, but yeah, isolate the room, get the kids away and call in a professional to come and have it removed for you. And they'll always ask you, like, have you got eyes on the snake? So hopefully you can pinpoint where they are and you'll just wait for them to
take some photos, whatever you can.
Take some photos. If you see them out in the open, in their natural habitat, we'll just stay out of their way and let them move on. They've got a reasonably small strike zone. Brown snakes would have the longest and tight pads because they can, throw their body this way and that. But at least the length of the snake, and then add it again. So if you look at a brown snake, be at least 3 or 4 metres away from it would be a reasonable distance.
Are they territorial?
There is male combat in springtime. They're waking up, they're hungry, they're hormonal, and they're cruising out looking for a female. They're a lot more active and there's a lot more sightings and encounters.
Yeah, I was out at Broken Hill and they were sighting for sheep, emus, kangaroos and brown snakes, all just coming to one area.
So the water's come up and they've been forced to leave rabbit burrows and hollow logs and underneath rocks. One thing I've noticed is when they do all sort of congregate on an arc type thing, so they're all on a log, their defensive behaviours tend to switch off. It seems like we're all in it together, doesn't it? I won't eat you today.
Like around your bins, I'm just getting back to the residential at home.
Keen sense of smell. But they're not going to come for a pork chop. They're going to come for the right type of smell. So for a brown snake, the smell of rodents. So if you've got chooks and you're bringing in rats, then they're going to pick that scent up. They've got an exquisite sense of smell. So the forked tongue across the roof of their mouth where they've got a
picks up all the smells.
It's way stronger than what we could imagine. The trigger's got to be right for their sense of smell. When you trigger a snake's defences in your backyard, it's reacting defensively to your presence, your movement. If you are still, the snake won't be able to identify you as a target, as a threat. If you're out of its way, stay out of its way.
I told you a myth.
I've heard heaps of myths.
Like, I got told not to run from a snake.
Well, I ran from plenty of snakes when I was a kid, and I reckon it served me well. Definitely a myth.
Yeah.
If you're running from a snake, for a lot of people, and they can see it over the corner of their eye, and it's still moving in their general direction, well, as far as a lot of people are concerned, they're being chased.
Yeah.
But the snake isn't aware of you until it gets close, and you're in that.
It's surrounding.
You're just within a few metres of it, and it's like bang, there's an immediate threat.
Yeah.
There's the myth about snakes only dying at sunset. Snakes can suffer terrible injuries and take a long time to die, and it's difficult to tell when they've passed away, like if one was run over or something like that. Not a nice subject, but their eyes don't roll back or close. They've got the scale over their eye, and they just lie there and look motionless.
Wow.
So somebody's hit a snake on a ride-on mower, and it's laying there all motionless on the ground, and I'm going to have a closer look at that, maybe I'll pick it up and take a photo. And then it comes back to life in their hand because it isn't dead. So there's things like that. So that's where that myth would have come from. I don't know about putting milk out on the porch to keep snakes away. I've got no idea. I've got no idea where the factual basis for that is. So you want to know what to do when you're walking out the back paddock or you're going bushwalking. Snakes like brown snakes have relatively small fangs. So my boots will give me pretty much 100% protection from a snake bite. Yours, not so good. And exposed ankles, not so good. Your trousers, provided they're not skinny jeans, will give you around 70% protection. Rolling down your sleeves would help as well. If you're doing things in the garden, chuck some riggers gloves on, that cowhide's a pretty good protection. Not a guarantee, but it'd be a very, very high level of protection.
So you have other defensible measures that you could use?
You could add snake gaiters to the equation. There's a couple of pairs like this. We have a lot of guys in the field working for us as ecologists and snake catchers and various things. And look, if they've got to stand around all day in blazing heat, I'm reluctant to put snake gaiters on them because it creates other issues. You just start overheating. Your whole experience is terrible. But if you feel comfortable and secure wearing gaiters, by all means do it. My feeling about going bush is carry a snake bite kit, carry a means of communication, and enjoy yourself. Wear some clothing that is suitable for the weather. The knowledge is empowering, and having a means of dealing with that type of emergency, that takes a lot of the worry out of it. I'll show you a red bellied black snake. They're common along the east coast. Probably a misunderstood snake in some ways, but very, very visible snake. Red bellies, lovable larrikins of the snake world. Generally reluctant to bite. Like compared to a brown snake, their trigger to actually bite is a lot less. They're a gorgeous looking snake.
Gee whiz, the colours.
Lovely flash of red. They're dangerously venomous, but unlikely to kill you. That is no reason to trifle with them. They can make you pretty crook and cause significant damage. Generally, they are less reactive than something like a brown or a tiger. More tolerant of passers-by. If you're going to pick one venomous snake to have in your, say you're backed onto a reserve, if you're going to have one venomous snake there, of all of them, maybe choose a black snake. They usually only bite when interfered with. You might get a headbutt from it, like a mock strike. You might even get a dry bite, so they bite you. There's fang marks, saliva, the whole lot. No venom. Red bellied black snake envenomations are extraordinarily painful.
Yeah.
Up there with funnelwebs, like
really.
So you'd be under no illusions that you're in trouble if you're bitten by a black snake. They'll eat lizards, wherever there's frogs, red bellies are about. All up the east coast in the closed woodlands and the forested areas. They don't mind a bit of wet feet, they're a bit damp and shady, whereas your brown snakes are more out in the open paddocks where it's hotter and they're accessing the sun more and they're chasing field mice and things like that. All up the east coast.
Look at the colours on it, it's beautiful.
Awesome looking snakes.
There's not enough one in there, is
No,
there?
I don't think so. I don't think so. I haven't checked for a while. I'll spend huge amounts of time hidden away somewhere dark, warm, dry, secure. Black snakes do eat other snakes, including brown snakes would be on that menu.
Wow.
People say, oh, if I got heaps of black snakes, is that going to control all the brown snakes? And there's a partial truth to that. Let me show you a young tiger snake.
If we're saying like the taipan's the most deadly.
Tiger's number 4, thereabouts, depending on what book you're reading.
Okay, so then brown?
Number 2. But deadly is not the same as dangerous.
Yes.
So if you've got a snake that might have highly toxic venom like the inland taipan or fear snake, they're very geographically isolated. People very rarely come across them and they're not that bitey. Whereas other snake species, like if you tread on a tiger snake, there's a good chance it'll bite you and envenomate you. A lot of people think of tiger snakes as being like black and yellow with maybe tiger-like bands. Again, variability is the norm. It's the feature of a lot of these species. We'll find these all along the east coast, down into Victoria. Real strongholds around the Melbourne CBD and in the cold climates. Not that far around.
No, okay, yeah.
Then there's a bit of a gap somewhere in the middle, and then they pop up again in southwestern WA. The islands, Bass Strait Islands, are famous for their tiger snake populations, where you can go and see like dozens. See the flattening out? So I'm reading that as mildly defensive. It's a cobra-like thing.
Yes.
So they're related to cobras, so they're cousins, cobras. You know, next time you're out, you see a venomous snake and you're one-to-one looking at it and it's flattening out, you start to read their behaviours. Think of a black snake.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Angles itself to the sun like a solar panel, heat up, then bang, away I go. Or it's flattening out because it's responding to a threat. Tiger snakes are actually pretty good climbers too. I've seen quite a few tiger snakes come out of trees and tree hollows. So you find a snake in a tree, don't just assume it's a tree snake or a python. They hiss, so a tiger snake will hiss quite audibly.
Really?
I tell you, it makes the hair stand up on the back of my neck. Even though I'm used to it, there's this primal thing that goes off when a snake hisses at you.